Now, unfortunately, Neil is unable to join us on campus this evening as he's making a movie in Barcelona at the moment. But Neil does join me from that Catalan city. Neil, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you, UCD. Thank you, everybody there.
Now, what was your time like in UCD? Did you enjoy it or not?
Of course, I enjoyed it. It was kind of amazing, you know. I mean, I went to St. Paul's College in Raheny, you know, and which was kind of grim. And when we went to UCD, it was just like you could suddenly learn things without being whacked, without being harassed. When I went there, I think it was 1968 or 9, and everybody was in Earlsford Terrace in the middle of the city, you know, and it was a rather beautiful campus. And then people were almost forcibly moved out to Belfield, you know, and so we were all wandering around this kind of strange fields with diggers and buildings being built and kind of a campus being laid out, you know, so it was very odd. But I mean, subsequently, given the gap of almost 50 years, it seems a very wise decision of UCD to do that, to make that move, because you've got these wonderful grounds and you've got all that space and you can expand as much as you want. But at the time, it felt strange and alien to leave, you know, to leave Newman House and to leave all those lovely buildings and to leave that green behind Newman House, and you know, so I really enjoyed my time there. I have to say, you know, it was the first time I began to take, you know, the whole process of learning and intellectual pursuits seriously.
When you were in college, be it in Earlsford Terrace or in the vast expanse of Belfield at the time, I mean, did you have any ambitions to do what you did, which was to become a novelist and then a filmmaker? Was that on your horizon at all at that point?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, the only thing I ever wanted to do was write, you know. So, I thought, I don't know. I just thought I would never get to do that kind of thing, you know. But you know, I studied literature under a series of great professors, Dennis Donahue and Seamus Dean and Augustine Martin, and it was a very, very kind of idealistic and very incisive bunch of mentors that we all had, you know. And I also studied history. I studied early Irish history for some reason. I don't know why. I just got obsessed with it, you know, with the early pre-Christian and immediately post-Christian period. And I just found it absolutely fascinating. I mean, the history department of them was sensational. You know, I don't know what it's like now. I'm sure it's equally good. And the literature department was incredibly lively. There was no consideration whatsoever of creative writing. I remember going to Dennis Donahue, the professor, and asking him would he even consider setting up a department or some little segue into creative writing and drama, and he didn't think it was the job of a university at all. But I know all of that has changed now, hasn't it? But you know, I got involved in the Drama Society with Jim Sheridan, and because Jim was actually in my history tutorial, you know, and we together kind of mounted a few very large productions in, you know, through that society. So it was incredibly inventive, invigorating, and kind of scrappy, you know. But I mean, we had no idea. I mean, nobody made movies in Ireland at the time, and we had no idea that any Irish people would ever do that. You know, though it gradually became a dream for both of us.
I mean, one of the things, if you know a doctor, then you see that it's possible to become a doctor. If you know someone who writes books, you think, well, maybe I could write a book. If you know someone who has any particular skill, maybe a digital engineer, I could do that because I have a role model. But there were no role models for filmmakers. So for you, you were one of the great pioneers of modern Irish cinema.
Yeah, I know, it's bizarre, isn't it? I mean, but it wasn't that kind of university. You know, I don't think any university at the time was that kind of university. You know, I don't think Trinity was. I don't think even UCLA was, or NYU. You know, I don't even know if they had a film department. Maybe they did. I think Martin Scorsese studied under some kind of mentors, but it was not. I mean, there was no film school in Ireland. There were no film departments in the various, you know, branches of the humanities. But in retrospect, I can't say whether it would have been a good or bad thing. If there had been, when I came out of college, I had a degree in English and history, and I applied to the National Film School in England, Beaconsfield it was called at the time, I think, and I actually got a place, but because I was Irish, I wasn't part of England or the Commonwealth. There was no grant aids available, so the costs were astronomical, and I couldn't afford to go. But I mean, I just really loved the environment and the atmosphere of exploration of thought and ideas. And even though it was quite a conservative place at the time, UCD, there were wonderful mentors. And my experience really was the Department of English and Department of History, and they were kind of extraordinary.
What advice would you give to someone, like you, who doesn't maybe have a background in anything, but has a wish, a desire, an ambition to do something that seems impossible?
Well, no, it's not that. It's not that really. I mean, the great experience I had in college was that actually it didn't seem to be designed towards any particular professional end at all, and I thought that was quite magical and wonderful. The fact that you were in this space for about 4 years, where you basically, you went where your interest took you, and it didn't seem to me to be and actually I still kind of think an academic environment should be one that is exploring a very old-fashioned thing, knowledge for its own sake, and the exploration of knowledge for its own sake, I mean, to me, it was a kind of a gift. I remember, taking courses in philosophy and archaeology and exploring areas of, kind of intellectual interest that I never thought I would even think about, and an experience at college gave me that opportunity. I know it's the whole concentration of the collegiate kind of life, our experience now is different. It's more designed towards, what do they call it, the STEM, science, technology, and that sort of stuff. And it's more designed towards, towards kind of a professional world that students will encounter after they leave college. But for me, the experience of 3 or 4 years where you were just studying with no particular end in view is quite magical, Yeah. And I think it was invaluable to me, really, because we hadn't a clue what we were going to do. We were just excited by ideas, really,
Finally, Neil, I should ask you, what does it mean to you to get this award, the Alumni Award, from your old alma mater?
No. I'm very honored to receive it and to be given it, and thank you to everybody who gave it to me. Any time I go back to UCD to give lectures or to talk about my movies and stuff like that, it's always a thrilling experience. So thank you very much, UCD alumni and the entire committee and the university, for this award.
Neil Jordan, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Pat.